The screen lit up, and there it was, a preview on the lock screen from a contact named Marcus. The only question left was how deep the rabbit hole went. For the next 2 weeks, I lived in a waking nightmare. I was an actor playing the part of a loving husband. She had become distant, a ghost in our own home. A credit card statement showed a charge for $200 at Perch, a rooftop bar I knew she hated because of her fear of heights. They were shifty, guilty. She was gaslighting me, making me feel crazy for even questioning her. One evening, I asked her why she seemed so far away. She just scoffed. Maybe if you were a little more ambitious, a little less predictable, I wouldn't need so much space. Instead, she drove straight to the parking garage of the Intercontinental in downtown LA. A few minutes later, a sleek black Mercedes pulled in beside her. A man got out. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and I felt a jolt of ice in my veins. I knew him. It was Arthur Vance, my boss, the CEO of the firm where I'd worked my tail off for 6 years. Hoping for a promotion, he always dangled just out of my reach. He leaned in, kissed her deeply, and they walked into the hotel elevator, arm in arm. Marcus was a fake name. She wasn't just cheating. She was cheating with the man who held my career in his hands. I sat there in my car, unable to breathe, the city lights blurring through my tears. The humiliation was absolute. I thought they were untouchable. They were about to find out how wrong they were. That night, something inside me snapped. The grief turned to ice. The hurt turned to a cold, clear focus. Revenge. Not the loud, messy kind. The quiet, systematic kind. The kind that dismantles a person's life brick by brick until there is nothing left but rubble. My first step was information. I installed discrete software on our home computer, which Sarah often used. I set up a tiny audio recorder in her car. I became a ghost, watching, listening, and gathering. The conversations I captured were sickening. They mocked me, my job, my boring loyalty. Vance, or Marcus as she called him, promised her a life of luxury once he finalized his own quiet divorce. Next, I hired the best divorce attorney in Beverly Hills. A shark named Eleanor Van Snow, relation to Arthur. A cruel irony I savored. I showed her my file, transcripts of their calls, photos of them at the Biltmore and the Intercontinental, credit card statements detailing their secret life. Eleanor's eyes lit up. "She's not just adultery," she said, a grim smile on her face. "This is a planned conspiracy to defraud you and his own wife. His company has a strict morality clause for its executives. This is a nuke. We set the trap. We filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, keeping the adultery evidence hidden." Sarah was arrogant. She assumed she'd get half of everything, plus alimony. She signed the initial papers without even reading them, too busy texting her lover. The final phase was the public exposure. Arthur's company was about to close a massive merger, and he was scheduled to give the keynote address at a huge industry conference in Chicago. His wife, a woman he described to Sarah as old and boring, was a major shareholder. I packaged everything: the photos, the audio clips of him promising to commit fraud to hide assets from his wife, the texts. I sent one package to the board of directors, I sent another to Arthur's wife, and I sent a third for maximum impact. To a notorious financial journalist in New York known for breaking big corporate scandals. The day of the conference, I sat in a small diner in Pasadena, watching it all unfold on a live news feed on my laptop. Arthur Vance walked onto the stage, smug and confident. Halfway through his speech, his phone started buzzing. Then a board member walked on stage and whispered in his ear. The color drained from his face. Chaos erupted. News alerts flashed across the screen. CEO Arthur Vance and morality clause scandal. Merger in jeopardy. His wife had filed for an emergency asset freeze. The board suspended him pending an investigation. He was ruined. I drove home to an empty apartment. Sarah had already been served the updated divorce petition, the one that included the evidence of adultery with a superior at my workplace, nullifying her claim to alimony, inciting her actions as extreme emotional distress. All our joint accounts had been frozen by my lawyer. Her credit cards were declined. She called me, screaming, crying, begging. I didn't answer. I just looked around the quiet apartment, at the framed photos of a life that no longer existed. Revenge wasn't sweet. It was just empty. There was no victory, only the cold, quiet peace of a war finally being over. I've since moved out of Los Angeles, started a new life in a small town where nobody knows my name. Sometimes late at night I wonder what happened to her. But I never look her up. Some doors are meant to stay closed. The silence in my new home is no longer tense. It is simply silence. The end.